welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is the Blue Collar Wine Show, where I help you spend your wine dollars wisely. We're going to an area that I've never done before. I have to admit that I'm not, at least I never have been a big sherry person. But evidently, according to some of the Psalms and wine directors throughout the United States, sherry is starting to get a foothold with the people in their 20s and 30s. They're intrigued by this part of the wine world and the differences in these different sherries. And the differences in the different sherries, you love that? Anyway, the differences in the sherries and the styles and so forth. So we're going to have a little Sherry 101. I'll do my best. If I get something wrong, you can let me know in the comments, okay? Sherry is made from 3 grapes, basically. Palomino, the Palomino grape. They sometimes will add the Muscatel de Alejandra, and then Pedro Ximenez is another grape they use. With sherry, it's a big deal with the soils there. In fact, some of the soil is so white in Jerez that you almost can't look at it. Just that kind of, it's got seashells and different types of soils throughout these different areas really make a difference in the styles of these wines. They're very food-friendly wines, and if you haven't had a sherry in a long time, I know that my wife Susie, she said her mother used to sip on sherry in the evening. So we need to just go through a few of these. We have 4 here. We'll go through them. We're not going to take a huge amount of time. But the driest of the sherries is Fino. We don't have a Fino here, but we do have a Manazanilla. And Manazanilla is basically done in the region of Sanlucar de Barrameda, yeah. So that's a Manazanilla. It's basically a Fino made in that area. This is the producer's Aurora. These all roll in at $20. Now, Manzanilla is a Fino. It's dry. Okay, so Manzanilla is dry. When they make sherry, they allow a cap of yeast to cover it. It's called a floor. And this floor covers the sherry and keeps oxygen out of it. So Manzanilla and Finos are both very fresh styles of sherry. And they're all done in the Solera method. If you're not familiar with that, you'll have a row of barrels stacked here, and then on top another row, and then it gets smaller on the top. And each barrel is filled with the sherry, and inside those casks, the floor rests over those wines. Now, what they do is they draw from the bottom barrels, okay, to bottle these wines. Then they'll refill those barrels with the second row up, and then that second row is refilled with the top row, and then that top row is refilled with new wine. They say that, you know, some of these wineries might have 80 to 100-year-old wines in those bottom barrels, you know, kind of because it all blends together. And what it does is it makes them really consistent. It's a really cool thing, the way they do it. So we're going to start off with the Aurora Manzanilla from Sanlucar de Barrameda, and this rolls in at $20. Using a little bit of smaller glass, just a little bit of a rinse. Now Manzanilla, because it's fresh and drier, is recommended to have with maybe, especially with sushi. Let's see what we get on those. I'm excited to do this. It's kind of cool. Now, of course, sherry is fortified. They take the Palomino grape and they they ferment it just like anybody else does with wine. And then after fermentation, they add a grape brandy to the wine to bump up the alcohol. Manzanilla has a far less alcohol than the other ones, 15%. So there you go. Unlike port they actually add the distilled spirits in the middle of fermentation. That way they stop fermentation and the grapes, and it keeps that sweetness that we like so much about port. This is so cool. So you get kind of a creme brulee sans the sweetness. A little bit of a bread dough yeast component coming through. Yeah, it's a very interesting nose. Let's see what we get on the palate. There's so many interesting flavors in the sherry, and I could just see this going with sushi so well. I get almost nutty, but not quite. A little bit of a walnut component without the bitterness, if that makes sense. A little bit of almond coming through on the backside. Very fresh, but I get that walnut mostly. And with sherry, there's that interesting kind of I keep wanting to say vinegar, but it's not vinegar. It's like a vinegar flavor without the sourness of a vinegar. It's yeah, it's really like, it's figs without the sweetness. Yeah, if you can catch what I'm saying. A little bit of hazelnut coming through. Yeah, it's very fig-like without any sweetness. This is a very, very dry wine. And I'd love, you know, if I would have thought of this when we were in South Africa and we were having that really good sashimi, I would have loved to have a Manazanilla with this wine. And this producer, Aurora, I'm very impressed with them. I don't know if I showed you the bottle or not. There they are. Very impressed with them. I tried some in the past, so I thought, you know, if I'm going to do a YouTube episode, I'm going to do it with these wines because I'm really impressed with this. Yeah, there's a little bit of an herbal component coming through too. Very nice wine. I would definitely go B+ on this Manazanilla. If you're looking for a good solid sherry, this is it. Let's move on. Now we're going to Aurora Amontillado, and this is from the Jerez-Xeres region of sherry. The Jerez-Xeres region. I think this is a fairly new region. I read about it. There you go, $20. Now we're getting into, so we've had a Manazanilla, now we're getting into Amontillado. Amontillado, the floor cap sometimes breaks up a little bit, allowing oxygen to get to the wine. Now, sometimes they do it on purpose, not necessarily always. And because that floor cap breaks, it allows a little bit of oxygen to it. So they tend to be a little more nutty than a Manazanilla would be. Okay, that makes sense? So that cap that's over a Fino or a Manazanilla breaks up a little bit and allows oxygen in. So it changes the style to a Amontillado. Amontillado. That's how you say it. Amontillado. So right off the bat, I get definitely the fig is sweeter on the nose in this one. I definitely get like a hazelnut sort of filbert thing going on. A little bit of a raisin quality coming through, which makes sense. Let's see what we get on the palate. Much richer in style. Still dry, but solid and richer. Definitely getting walnut and hazelnut and filbert and just like a mouthful of mixed nuts. I like it a lot. Definitely richer from that oxygen getting to it. And then there's a little bit of an orange peel, sort of orange raisin thing going on in there. Yeah. It's almost like eating dessert but not cheating, you know? Like you wouldn't feel like you're rotting your teeth out or anything from dessert, but there's that qualities of dessert-like things in there. And the nuts, it's crazy. It's crazy. Very delicious but dry. Now this one would do really well with soups. Like if you're, I could just imagine doing a French onion soup with an Oloroso, Amontillado, excuse me. Amontillado would be just fantastic. Things like rabbit or pheasant would be really good with this as well. You know, we often think of wines with pairing. This is a wine, but it's a fortified wine. So sometimes, you know, you don't put much thought to it, but I really am digging this little Amontillado. Delicious, delicious stuff. I'm gonna go straight up A on that. I think it's a solid Amontillado, 19 or 20 bucks. You know, fair price, very good. Let's move on. So this is now the Aurora Oloroso from the Jerez-Xeres region of Sherry and this of Spain. Excuse me. This rolls in at 20 bucks as well. There you go. Nice little size bottles. These are not full bottles, of course. They are, I believe, was it 500 ml or what? Yeah, 500 ml. This is 17.5. Now the one prior to that was, I believe, around 19% alcohol on the Amontillado, and the Oloroso is 17.5. That's more alcohol on the Amontillado. That's interesting. Now, on an Oloroso, okay, they purposely break the floor cap, the cap of yeast. They purposely break it, they mix it in, they want that richness to come from that floor cap. So, a whole different style. You get a little bit obviously richer. Some of these Olorosos can stay in the barrel for decades and age. They can be sweeter or dry. Sweeter if they add muscatel to the wine. We'll see what this one's like. Let's see what we get on the nose. Right off the bat, you get a little bit more of a lot of raisin quality coming through. There's definitely some nuttiness in there, but not as strong as the Amontillado. Getting a little bit of an apple component coming through, which I find very interesting. Maybe some dried apricots coming through. That's interesting. Let's see what we get on the palate. This is a lot more complex than the last three, or the last two. There's some depth to this baby. I'm getting an apple, dried peach, dried apricot thing going on with this. A little bit of a golden raisin in the backdrop. I could see this with roasted chicken easily. Right on the backside, the nuttiness comes through, not nearly as prominent as the Amontillado. Not nearly as prominent as the Amontillado, or even the Manazanilla. Amontillado, excuse me, I keep saying it wrong. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry. It's Amontillado, Manazanilla, Amontillado. They don't say their L's. Almost like I get a dessert component coming through too on the nose. Almost like golden brownies. Have you ever had a golden brownie? I have. Like a golden bar of some sort. Yeah, I could see my mom back in the day sipping on a little bit of Oloroso. Definitely richer, definitely more complex, solid wine. I'm going to go straight up A on that one as well. I think that's a very solid Oloroso I could put that on the rocks and sip it. That's really delicious. Dry though, good food wine. I can see that with some Asian dishes, perhaps, things like that. Okay, let's move on. This is the Aurora Pedro Ximenez from Jerez-Xeres, and this is rolls in at $20. Now, Pedro Ximenez is the grape, but the cool thing about this, the way they make it, you can tell. Look at the color on this. I hope you can see that. Look how dark that is. They take the grapes, they dry them out in the sun for 7 to 9 days. They turn them over every 2 days so they get evenly dried, and then they press them, and they press them twice, and they get this really rich, solid, almost like port-like wine, as you can expect. Port from being dried out, and then they're done in the Solera method. So this is definitely a sweeter style wine. I remember the first time they call it PX for short. I was just blown away. I fell in love. Let's see what we get on the nose. So immediately, raisins. It's like you stuck your schnoz in a box of raisins. With a little bit of apricot juice maybe added to it. Yeah, let's see what we get on the palate. Now these are ramped up a little bit on the alcohol level. This is, not really, 15%. So the hottest one of the bunch was the Amontillado. Sorry guys, I don't know why I want to say that L. It's not there, it's Amontillado. Yeah, that was the hottest one, was 19% alcohol. Okay. I mean, this is rich, 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 sweet, sweet, sweet. This is like dessert in a glass. Raisins, brown sugar, fig, it's all there. It is outstanding. If you want to just sit and enjoy a glass of wine after dinner, this would be the one. I mean, this is amazing. My lips are sticky. Wow. Now, if you don't like sweet wines, you're not going to like this. That doesn't matter. I don't know how you couldn't like this. I mean, some people don't like dessert. This has got good balance. I mean, it's sticky, yes, but it finishes clean. It's solid wine. It is very sweet. You could have this with creme brulee. You could have this with apple crisp. You could have it with fudge. You could have this with a lot of different things. It has that nice richness, that nice depth. It's just absolutely scrumptious. And I'm going to finish this off at the end of the episode. You can't go anything but A+ on that wine. It's just solid wine. If you're after a dessert style wine, and it's $20, that's not too bad. It would rival, if you like port, you're going to love this. It's solid wine. Just so many flavors. Just keeps lingering on and on and on. Thanks for taking a little time out of your day. I hope you enjoyed this episode on sherry. I hope I got it done in an expedient amount of time. I didn't want to make this too long, Alan. So thanks for taking your time out. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Hook up with me on Instagram, on Twitter. Stan the Wine Man. That's what I am. You keep watching, and I'll keep helping you spend your wine dollars wisely.